Well, that was better than expected. Yeah, Russia, we assume it's going to be a boring race. It's been a boring race previously, pretty processional. They've struggled to follow, struggled to overtake, struggled generally around that track. But this time we got a banger all the way from quali through. Seeing Lando get his first pole was amazing, just the timing, everything that came down to it. Lewis making that mistake, hitting the wall on the pit entry, screwed him over, screwed Bottas over. They probably would have been able to pull it out if they had another lap to get the tyres up, but they didn't. Lando gets his first pole. Carlos right in there behind, out qualifying Leclerc. And then Russell in P3, pulling out, not even going to say the lap of his life, because I think the Spa lap was probably better. The Spa lap was almost good enough for pole. But a really strong performance in a car that he seems to think is the Mercedes. Apparently he's forgotten that he's in the Williams and he's just going for the front row. So that was really nice to see. Obviously we knew that Russell was going to drop like a stone the next day. But then the race came around and he didn't do too badly. He held everyone off for quite a while until, like we knew was going to happen, the pit stops came around and he was always going to fall back. I do think Williams fudged it a bit with the pit stops in terms of he could have probably done better if he'd stayed out longer, but then the undercut looked like it was really powerful and it was going to work. It was a bit all over the place, everything was. But we'll talk about the race in 2 hours. We'll talk about the race before the rain and the race after the rain. Because before the rain, Lando Norris, stellar performance, absolutely amazing. He dropped back at the start, like is common in Russia, but then he just got on with the job. He seemed so calm and collected over the radio, trusting the team, just kind of saying, yeah, go on, I'll do whatever you need me to do. I can take the tyres longer, don't worry about it. Chased down Sainz, got past him, and he was just in control. Lewis, bad start, compounded by what was happening in front of him. He couldn't find a way through, and that really hurt him. And then it was just DRS train. And for a while, it did look a little bit boring because it did just look like there was 2 blocks, DRS trains, and nothing was happening other than Verstappen mugging absolutely everybody off, really showing his talent and exposing the lack thereof for some other people. Bottas starting at the back in front of Verstappen should have had so much more. I won't get into why they gave him the engine penalty. I don't know why Mercedes went to change the engine. Maybe they just thought, bun it. We're doing all right in the Constructors' Championship. It's really only the drivers we're fighting for. Something that Bottas isn't fighting for. We may as well put an extra engine in the pool now. Get it out of the way. Take it while everybody else is taking it. And that makes sense to me. They may have also been the thinking that keep Bottas ahead of Verstappen, make his life harder. And that also makes sense to me. Yeah, fine. Screws Bottas' race over, but it's a team game and Bottas isn't fighting for anything. He's fighting for third. He's fighting for an inconsequential position, really. They know that Bottas has got Perez covered. Mercedes has Perez covered. So it makes sense for the team, for Hamilton, for everything. It makes sense to give Bottas that penalty, put him in front of Verstappen and have a block there. Didn't work that way. Verstappen flew past Bottas and he had this to say about it, if I can find the clip.
Wel de mooiste inhaalmanoeuvre van het jaar.
I hope the sound is clear.
Ik vind Fiat. Nou, ik weet geen welke vind jij de mooiste dan? Ja, eentje voor jezelf. Nee.
Nou, die niet.
Nee?
Nee, want een inhaalactie op Bottas, dat vind ik niet de mooiste van het jaar. Sorry, maar nee.
Ja, maar zo, hier zijn
Nee,
op het laatste moment.
Ja, maar daar laat toch gewoon de deur open staan.
Fighting words for Max Verstappen. It's not an overtake because it's not the best overtake because it was on Bottas. Maybe that's indicative of... Hello? Maybe that's indicative of how other drivers perceive him. Maybe it's just Max and his arrogance that we know he has. But he did a smashing job. He was just cutting up the field. And he put himself in a good position for the end of the race. Him and Bottas both started down the back. One of them finished P2, one of them finished P, I'm not sure, because after P5, who cares? For a top team, for a top driver. And so the golfing quality, that's where it is. Verstappen made the most out of that race, Bottas not so much. So then back up the front, Hamilton fighting away. Ricciardo in front of him, I believe. He got past Alonso. Ricciardo in front of him, fighting away. Seemed to dummy Ricciardo into a pit stop by complaining over the team radio, saying get ready to undercut him. Mercedes came out, and it looked like they baited McLaren into an early pit. And everybody that pitted early really got screwed over because of these DRS trains that were forming. And I don't know what Formula 1 can do about it. Hopefully next year's cars follow better and it's not too much of an issue. But once the DRS trains emerged, it was really difficult for any driver in that train to get through other than Max Verstappen, because the rules don't apply to him apparently. It was really difficult for any drivers to make moves to get through, and all the early pitters got stuck behind, I think, Gasly or Alonso. Those that were going long, and Leclerc was going long as well. They really got stuck behind him. They just could not find a way through. That might be because the last few corners are really difficult to follow through, so you're not really setting anything up for the straight. All the overtakes seem to be happening down the back straight. I didn't see many happening down the home straight. And yeah, if the rain hadn't come, it probably would have been an amazing qualifying, an amazing first few laps, and then a very quiet race. But the rain did come. The rain that we're always promised. Oh yeah, we see some spots on the radar. We see the spots of rain on the camera lenses, but it never seems to come. This time it came, and you can't help but feel sorry for Lando. It was experience, wasn't it? Experience was going to win out at the end of the day, especially in the rain, changeable conditions. It is got to be driver and team working together in perfect harmony to know when to come in and change onto the inters. Hamilton refused Mercedes once, but then when they called him the second time, he kind of put his hands up and went, even though I don't think it's the right decision, I'm just going to trust the team blindly. I've been doing it all these years with the teams. I know they're going to make a decent decision. I'm going to trust the team and I'm going to come into pit. Lando, on the other hand, sort of backed himself. Maybe the team didn't think there was going to be more rain. It was very mixed. Over a lot of the team radio, some teams thought it was going to clear up. Some teams thought it was going to get worse. And so he stayed out. He thought he could say, I'm wearing McLaren hoodie today. Yeah, I was really rooting for him. He thought he would be able to stay out. It was clear to me that he wasn't going to be able to stay out. Obviously, I'm not a driver. He must have had a different feeling in the cockpit. But they were squirming all over the place, and I understand that it was only wet through a few corners, but a few corners is enough, especially if it's going to take you off track. He went off track, I think, 2 or 3 times before the semi-spin, and it was clear. It was exhilarating though to see Hamilton 40 seconds behind, and it was just coming down 40, 35, 30, 22, 18, 6, 8, and then he had that spin, and it was game over. Heartbreaking stuff. And if you saw the video of him afterwards pulling up into Parc Ferme and just taking a second, radio silence, he must have been feeling a whole world of pain at that point. But we take solace in the fact that it's not going to be his first race victory. It's not going to be the first race victory that he loses, and I see that as a really good thing, because that means he's going to have multiple opportunities. There is no way a driver of his talent, of his caliber, is going to miss out. He's going to be fighting for race wins. He's going to be fighting for championships, hopefully soon enough with the new regulations, maybe as soon as next year. All this race will do is give him some experience. Hopefully he's learned a lesson, and I'm not sure what lesson he's learned, because he's still got to back his guy. He'll still think he did the right thing, and maybe he did do the right thing, trusting himself. But as time goes on, more time with the team, that trust between the two of them, they'll gel, they'll cement like Hamilton has with the Mercedes team, and he'll come back stronger. 100% he'll come back stronger. Hamilton did pretty much every other than the start. He did everything right. He did everything he needed to, and that was a champion's drive. And so a champion's drive, how was that champion? Maybe Verstappen's was a champion's drive all the way from the back of the grid to P2. Yeah, but by a champion's drive, what I mean is consistency. Hamilton was consistent, lap in, lap out, is that a thing? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. He was consistent. He was putting the lap times in, not hurting the tyres, trusting the team, didn't put a foot wrong, and that's exactly what he needed to do. All race, didn't put a foot wrong, capitalised on other people's errors. That's how you win championships, by being consistent. You can also win championships by lighting up the timing screen and putting on a show for every single fan of the sport, like Verstappen did, and we'll see which one wins out, consistency or exuberance. I have a feeling Hamilton is going to edge this championship. He's probably going to take it. It'll be nothing. There'll be nothing in it by the end of the season. It'll be down to Abu Dhabi. Hamilton will probably just edge ahead on consistency. I saw a few stats on Twitter. I don't know how accurate they were. Someone doing the maths of different scenarios in which if Max hadn't crashed, or if Max and Lewis hadn't come together, what would have happened if Max had just backed out and finished behind Hamilton. And it turns out with the points what he got, that maths was showing that he at least would have been further ahead in the championship. Obviously he's not ahead now. I think it's 2 points between them. Nothing. But yeah, a call ahead sometimes gets you further. But as far as the show goes, I'm enjoying seeing Max every week, balls to the wall, and I think we need someone like that in F1. I'm not gonna slag him off for it. I'm not gonna slate him for it. I enjoy watching his driving. If we'd have got a few more laps in the wet, I would have loved to see if you could put, if we had like 10 more laps in the wet, I would have loved to see if you could put pressure on Hamilton from P2. Thinking back to Brazil 2016, the masterclass that Max gave in the wet then would have been something to see. Maybe we'll get it further down in the season. Turkey's looking like it's going to be a wet race. I know it's a week out, so we can't really say anything, but Google Weather says rain on Sunday. If it's anything like last time at Turkey, it's going to be 2 amazing weekends in a row. If it's anything like the Turkey that we know and love from back in the day, then it's going to be amazing still, because it's a really great track. I was looking forward to it last year. I'm looking forward to it this year. He took 100 wins, Hamilton did, in Russia, more than any other driver ever has, ever will, most likely. If the regulations do their job, then we're not going to see this type of dominance come out again. Unlikely. There's always a dominating team, there's always a dominating driver in F1. Always has been, always will be. But yeah, sit back, enjoy the show. This championship is shaping out up and down the grid to be one of the best in history in a long time. It's going to be a good one. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time on the race preview. 2 weeks' time? 1 week's time for the race preview. We'll have a video on Sunday. Hopefully something to do with the car. We'll try. If not, then we've got some other videos lined up. Keep a lookout for them. Hit the subscribe button, notification bell if you want to know exactly when the videos come out, so you can watch them straight away and help us out with the algorithm. But other than that, that's all from me. Goodbye.